Gemini, it's you and me. I know it's your destiny, Gemini. Oh, I don't want to get copyright stricken. Let me stop. Hello, Gemini. Welcome to your The Froma soft launch reading. I know, Gemini, it was supposed to be done before, the launch, so I can release all 12 videos at the same time. If you're coming from Aquarius, and I was like, well, hopefully I've recorded all 12 of these. I'm sure I did. The Patrick in the past knew, past me knew that it wasn't going to happen, but I had faith in myself regardless. So maybe that's your theme, Gemini. It's about you believing in you, even when you know that you shouldn't. It's about not knowing that you shouldn't. It's about challenging yourself. This is about you challenging you and you believing in you. And you can do a much better job than I can, Gemini. Hopefully you don't procrastinate as much as I do. But I feel like a Gemini procrastination might be different. Like, I feel like Gemini procrastination might be like there's legitimately other things to do and not just like not doing it. Even though Gemini, maybe you can convince yourself that other things that need to be done need to be done. Maybe you can self-legitimize. Who's that? Is there a card flipped over in here? It almost looks like Leaf Shade. I know Leaf Shade just came out for Cancer. I'm pretty sure I didn't put it back face up. It looked green and leafy and foliagey. Or, you are the wild, untamable ox. I almost said fox. The wild, untamable fox. Yours is a wit that cannot be contained. It's getting into that dual aspected, two-faced nature of Gemini. But not two-faced in... It's almost like, let's say that Loki was a Gemini. If you know anything about Loki, the trickster. But it's almost this energy of like owning who you are. So it's like Loki, Fox, trickstery meets Mars, Aries energy. And for me, it's the planet Mars because it seems like Mars can be really like hot-headed or short-tempered and can almost like fly off the handle. And so because of that, it's easy to paint Mars in a bad light, but it feels like Mars just needs direction. And so maybe it's quick, it's fast, it's a lot easy to misunderstand. It honestly feels though it's easy to misunderstand. It's easier for other people to choose to misunderstand it. It's easy to choose to not invest. Like, oof, I don't want to say it that way because it'll make me cry. But the way that it came to me, it's like it's easy to choose to, oh my gosh, it's actually going to make me cry. It's easy to choose to not invest the time, energy, or effort. It's easier to just say, oh, like they're crazy, or oh, they're unreliable, or oh, they're so wishy-washy, they're so flaky. It's almost like for a lot of people, maybe it seemed that it was easier for them to choose to just dismiss or diagnose rather than to spend that time getting to know Loki. Not you, Gemini. Oh goodness, it almost got me for real. But that's like Mars Loki energy, and because of that, maybe they act out. But it's like I don't want to say they act out, and it's not that they're easy to misunderstand. It just feels like it's easy for people to choose to see it that way. Like people could understand if they wanted to. Maybe you don't have to be the white mirror kin in the Mayan galactic signature, but it's almost like It feels like you mirror something back to people that they don't want to see in themselves. But it feels that what they see in you is almost a projection. And so instead of Loki being this character that deliberately, intentionally shapeshifts into another form, it's just that like Loki is always Loki. It's just that people see him differently because of the things that they don't want to face themselves. Oh, it's almost this like trauma sponge energy, which is wild and weird and not fair at all to you. Um, Nid Shadows is at the bottom of the deck. Oh, I don't want to take it, Gemini, but I think I will. Darn it. Oh, Gemini, this is not where I wanted to go. I'm going to do yours differently. Yeah, I am. I'm going to look for Loki. And if a card comes out while I'm looking, then it will also be included. I'm going to shuffle 3 times and then do the other shuffle twice. I'm going to riffle it 3 times, shuffle it twice, cut it, and then I'll find Loki. 1, 2. And I'm going to go through these quick. Ooh, Thor, Gerd, and Akenskjöld is at the bottom of the deck. Akenskjöld holds the treasure. He's holding or hiding. Tardiness and lethargy, Ganyati, economy and revenue. It's almost like, this is interesting. It's almost like you may be the very thing that, it's almost like you may exhibit, you may have the qualities, you may be really good at almost kind of solving people's problems, but you give them solutions that they don't want because it requires something of them that they're not ready to give or that they don't want to give. It's almost like they're very like, it's almost like a lot of get rich quick mentalities or attitudes, while you are this very successful, can give you however many step process to get what you want, but it requires dedication. So again, it's more of a reflection of the people around you than it is you, Gemini. It's a reflection on them if they don't want to take the time to get to know and understand you. That doesn't mean that you're difficult. Some people are difficult. Don't get me wrong. Some people are almost intentionally difficult because of whatever they've experienced or gone through. But your energy isn't reading us difficult today. It's just reading us, for whatever reason, not finding or coming across those who invested that time. And then here's Loki right here. The first human man asked Loki and Hirokin. Judgment and final decision. Dag, clarity and novelty is behind that. Shout out to Dagaz or Dagur or Dej. We'll put this back. It's interesting also that Thor was at the bottom. It's interesting that Thor was there because Thor and Loki they play antagonistic roles in each other's journeys. I'll say it that way. I'm going to use the Crow Tarot. Don't really know why. I just feel led to it. But Hirokin was a giant that Thor couldn't kill because she was stronger than he is. So Thor represents the Aesir. And it's like Loki is bringing man, and the giants. So it's almost like in Norse mythology, there's the Aesir, mostly god. Well, there's the Aesir gods, and then literally all the other ones, like the Vanir and stuff like that, right? But they're like the gods Aesir or Vanir, the giants, and then man, people. Man and giants are down here with Loki. See, that just makes it weird. It's like people into like they don't want to understand. Hmm. Gemini, where are we going? You know why they don't want to understand? Because of everything that they've already done. It's almost like, in a weird way, I've never necessarily associated Gemini with karma. Is Mercury direct in Gemini? Is that where Mercury retrograded? Is it still retrograde? Is it direct? I don't know. I could literally look it up, but I'm not. Um, I've never thought of Gemini as associated with karma, but it's almost like there's something that it goes back to that thing that people have to see or face within themselves that they just don't want to. I don't think this should mean though that you have to continue to play the villain in someone else's life or story. I don't think that that necessarily means that you have to be continue to be seen in an unfavorable light. But where I was starting with this was that wild, untamable fox energy. This is Loki learning to use his tricks, learning to use his abilities in a refined way. Like there's a way to utilize who you naturally are in a way that it feels like you need a Saturn. And maybe that's where karma is coming from. For me, Saturn and Mars have this relationship astrologically, where Saturn is the mentor that Mars needs. Saturn is the one that's like, I know, hey, it's like, hey, I know you have a lot of energy. Have you tried like sports? Or maybe there are artistic realms that you can get that energy out. It's like Saturn sits with Mars long enough to go through the process of finding the thing that works for Mars in terms of like venting that energy. So it's not so much. Whereas everybody else is like, oh my gosh, like you're so much, you're bouncing off the walls, you're doing too much. It's like you're exhausting me. And there's nothing wrong with Mars. Mars is created as Mars was intended to be. Unfortunately for Mars or Loki, it's like they didn't. It's like there wasn't an environment. Ooh, what's up with the reads today? There wasn't an environment that like encouraged them to find themselves and express themselves and be themselves in healthy ways. Because of that, I'm gonna do the same thing, and I'll look before and after the Three of Cups. The Three of Cups is a card of community, and it is loving and accepting everyone as they are, but it goes beyond just that. It celebrates them as well. It's the card of knowing that our differences make us a more beautiful, diverse, gorgeous collective overall. We all bring something to the table that someone else doesn't, and we can all, it enriches the feast. It makes our options more. It's like going to a potluck and everyone doesn't just bring plastic cups. It's like everybody brought cups. No, not even like the drinks for the cups. No napkins, no chips, no actual food. Everyone's like, "Oh, I'm gonna cheap out and get my cups." It's like, well, you can't eat cups, so right. I'm gonna pull these from the top. So you have the Knight of Wands, the Hermit, and the Tower as the first three. The Nine of Pentacles, the Knight of Pentacles, and Justice. Love that. That's 9 Justice 9. Or 9 Knight 9. The High Priestess, the Eight of Cups, the Seven of Pentacles, the Five of Pentacles, the Two of Swords, the Eight of Pentacles, the Six of Wands, the Five of Wands, and the Strength card. Who am I looking for? The Three of Cups. Okay. The Hanged Man, Judgment, and the Fool. The Empress, the Queen of Swords, and the Seven of Pentacles. The Nine of Swords, the Four, of Cups, and the Three of Swords. The Eight of Wands, the Seven of Wands, and the Star. The Devil, the Ace of Cups, and the Knight of Swords. This right here, real quick, oh gosh, why is this energy in these today? It's fine. It is what it is to be for me today. If it don't resonate, don't take it. And you don't have to take it as I'm like, if it resonates for you, but it's like in a different area, in a different situation, take it as that's the as it resonates part. And the if it resonates part is like if it resonates for you. So if it feels like there is a truth in here, take it and apply that truth for you in your specific situation as it applies to you, right? Maybe instead of a work thing, it's a family thing. Maybe instead of a family or a work thing, it's an interpersonal thing. It's you and you, right? Apply it where it applies, if it applies. It's like take as needed, when needed, where needed. But it feels like this energy where, unfortunately, if we don't experience a lot of acceptance, love, community, it can be easy for us to attach to the places where we find it. Unfortunately, for some, that first place isn't always great. And when the knowing doesn't reside in self, or when the self is manipulated into believing that only that one person or only that one group of people will ever love us, unfortunately, that can be leveraged against us to get us to stay in situations and spaces that are not great, that are toxic. This feels like that. It's like this is finding community or finding comfort in a person or in a collective of persons that ultimately, at the end of the day, they don't have our best of interests at heart. If that was your experience, know that you're still worthy of love. And I'm proud of you for knowing that you're worthy, because it takes, I think it takes more knowing than we may think or believe to courageously step out of certain situations. That in and of itself is an act of self-love. So you're already loving yourself. Big ups on that. The Page of Cups is at the bottom of the deck. And it's like now, and it's like moving forward now, not only knowing that it's possible to find acceptance because you found it, but it's also possible to like, it's like with that knowing of what love isn't, you become able to discern better when you have options. Or it's like you become able to not take the first thing if the first thing is not for you to take. But it does feel like there is a difficulty here, a potential difficulty in like the first place that you find acceptance and it not necessarily being the right place for you. Ooh, followed by the Ten of Cups, the Nine of Cups, and Temperance. Love that. The 10-9 Temperance is this energy. It's like once you know, you know. It's that you becoming more discerning when you're presented options. And so your energy, your aura becomes more discerning. So there's a part that automatically parses out things that you know now are not for you. So it's almost like you don't even attract them anymore. And for those that still find you, for those that come into your experience, now you have the awareness to say no, or to get out when you notice that it's not great. You know what I mean? And that it's like it pulls you closer to that which you do actually desire. Love that. Ace of Wands, Queen of Wands, and the Six of Cups. Love it, love it, love it. You realize that there was nothing ever wrong with you, girl. Perfect as created. PAC. I don't know what that means, but that's where you get. So what? Four of Pentacles, King of Cups, the Hierophant. Again, it feels like this Four of Pentacles, King of Cups is like you not being so quick. It's first it's like you not being so quick to take anything and everything, but it plays back on this discernment. Like you're not giving to someone just because they'll take it. You'll only give it if it's appreciated. You know what I mean? Where it's not taken advantage of. And again, it feels like it's almost like not only does your energy and your aura change and it changes what comes into your experience, but as you interact with your experiences, like you are putting these things in place, like these routines and these habits and practices. It's almost like how people say dress for the job that you want, not the job that you have. It's like you're taking on duties and responsibilities. It's like you are modeling being in a healthy relationship before you necessarily attract that healthy relationship. It's like that kind of energy. Like you're already living it in practice. You know what I mean? Oh, love this turn around. Turn the beat around. Page of Swords. Four of Wands. Ace of Pentacles. The Sun. The World. The King of Swords. With Saturn again. The Three of Cups. There we go. Oh, how am I going to do this? King of Swords, Three of Cups, and the Page of Wands. I'll just finish off the trio. The King of Wands. Okay. So I'm going to take this trio for you, but we're going to look at this one. So we had the Sun, the World, and the King of Swords. The Sun, is awareness. And the Eight of Swords, which I don't think we've seen actually. So I'm going to find that really quick. Maybe we have. Yeah, it looks like we've already seen it. Nope, it's right here. In between the Chariot and the Five of Swords. In the Eight of Swords, this crow is bound and blinded. In the Sun card, they've taken off the blindfold. That's why I wanted to bring it. They've taken off the blindfold. Now they're free. Now they're liberated. Because that's that element of clarity that the Sun can bring. You see things now. Many wonderful things that you've never seen before. It's bringing to mind it's Little Red Riding Hood in Into the Woods after she's freed from the wolf's belly. When she's like, and I know things now, many wonderful things that I'd never known before. Do not put your faith in a cape and a hood. They will not protect you the way that they should. And something, it's those two lines. You know things now that you didn't know before, and maybe you put your faith in things that you thought would protect you, but they didn't the way that you thought they would. And so now you know many wonderful things, and it's like, it's like you know the good and the bad. You know what's for you and what's not for you. Maybe more so, you know what's not for you. But when you know what's not for you, you can connect to what is for you. And it makes me think of like, focus on the things that you can do rather than the things that you can't. Focus on the road that lies ahead of you rather than the challenges that you've overcome to be where you are. And you don't have to be ashamed of your past to do that. Actually, I would encourage you to not be ashamed of your past, but you are a free and autonomous being. It's not where you've come from, it's where you're going. Maybe that's your title. That is your title. But I've already... Oop, it's right here, my handy dandy notebook. That actually came with the Crow Tarot. Gemini. Oh, it's not where you've come from, it's where you're going. I was like, I already forgot. It's not where... I don't know why I put where in caps. You've come from. So now it feels like your mutability can be used to change situations. It's weird. But it goes with that, like it's an evolution of trickster low-key energy. It's almost like having the power of invisibility. If you have the power of invisibility, it's almost like there's no good reason to be invisible. You're going to be in places that you shouldn't be, or yeah, it's like you're going to use invisibility to go places that you shouldn't go, or to see things that you wouldn't see if you were visible. And so it's a power that can so easily turn to villainy. Um, but it's like there are heroes that have the power of invisibility, and they use their powers for good. Isn't Susan Storm one of them? Question mark. Invisible Woman, Fantastic Four? Question mark. See, but the thing is, you discover it's almost like in embracing your power, you dive into the mechanics of it. You have an ability to interact with light. And it's because of your interaction with light that you become invisible, or you can become invisible. And it's like light is both a photon and a wave. So you can expand that ability to interact with photonic light into like interacting with light in a wavelength. And once you master that, you can interact with energy, like radio waves, microwaves, cosmic waves, and rays and stuff like that. It's like you expand beyond the visible light spectrum in the entire band of wavelengths. Now you can go into the infrared, the X-ray, the gamma ray, all of these different rays and waves. You can go beyond what is seen. And with this, it's like whatever people cast you as, that's not you. People can, and then it's almost like maybe one day you'll realize it's like, wow, it's almost like you were just like the wrong person in the wrong place at the wrong time, because people could have projected on anybody. It's almost like, oh, like it wasn't me specifically. It was them the whole time. I was just the person that was there, so it felt personal. You know what I mean? That kind of energy. So, yes, you are freed from the illusions. You can now see the things that you couldn't see, and this clarity becomes what your worldview is based upon in this world card. This crown that you get, now you come in with a greater knowing. And it feels like with the 6 feathers, with the 5 feathers at the base of this throne, it feels like these are like you shed your feathers. So it's like, baby birds shed their down and then they grow adult feathers. It feels like you go through process after process after process, shedding adult feathers. It feels like you can grow and transform and mutate into things that we ain't even seen. And that is your gift, Gemini. It's almost scorpionic, but it doesn't require death to do it. It's almost like instead of a Scorpio death and transformation, it's just you bringing something outside of yourself. But that was the thing with the Loki projection. It was like people are projecting these shapes onto Loki. Loki never actually shifts and changes his own shape. It's just that people see him differently in their mind, so he appears differently to them. That's making me think of that, like you're learning that you're actually interacting with light particles when you go invisible, or something like that. I don't know, seeing Loki there, it harkened me back to that. Be it man or giant. There's actually like a really big energy behind this, Gemini. And it makes me think of your reading. I don't know if it was the last time I did all signs or if it was the time before that. I remember I used the Santa Muerte tarot because I think it was the Four of Pentacles. There was like this sacred space that was carved out for you, and it's protected, it's safe. You didn't lose it, it's still there. It's like the divine made you the way that you are intended to be. This shadow, these shadows, it's not you. Not to say that you're perfect, not to say that you don't have darkness, not to say that you don't have shadows, because you do. We all do. But what people project onto you is not you. Now, if somebody peeps something in you that is you, then that is you. But what people project onto you is not you. And in my mind, it's like it's hard for anyone. Well, it's hard for anyone to see you as you if they're projecting on you. And it's hard for someone to see you as you if they can't see themselves as who they are. Hence, it becomes easier to project it on you. Just like other people have to know themselves to not project on you, you have to know yourself to not see yourself the way that they see you. Because then it feels like Loki, that's when Loki actually changes shape. Is when he sees himself the way that other people see him. But now, especially with like this Sun World King of Swords energy, you get to see you how you want to. You get to see you how you want to, so you can take on the form that you want to take. Girl, this is your superhero. Maybe I'll say this is your superhero origin. Yeah, I'm gonna I'm gonna use that title instead. Your superhero origin story. Your, I'll say S hero origin, because I ran out of room at the bottom of this. So where does that leave us, Gemini? The Three of Cups, the Page of Wands, and the King of Wands. I love how quick this page to King of Wands energy is. It feels like this is you unbound. Unbound by the world. The same thing that you used to fix the world and the crown, now you move beyond it. Now you exist outside of it. You become superhuman. You become extraordinary. But it's like you have to know who you are first. It's like you meet other superheroes when you are a superhero. You know what I mean? Like like Clark Kent isn't going up to anybody and everybody and being like, "Hey, I'm Superman." You know what I mean? Wally, Wally, whatever the Flash is in the Justice League. It's like superheroes aren't going up to people in their what do you call it? Aliases, undercover, secret identities. They're not going up to people in their secret identities and being like, "Hey, I'm the superhero," unless it's Iron Man, then he is, because he told everybody. He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm Iron Man, by the way," and people are like, "Okay, Tony Stark, we know." Like, we saw the press conference, girl. We know you're Iron Man. But with another superhero, they will. So it does almost become this. You will find that once you become that. And again, it's like if you've already exited toxic situations, you already love it. Like, that's self-love, girl. And it took so long to hit me, and it took so long for me to then be able to look back on my own journey and be like, when I made that choice and decision, that was self-love. That was the thing that I've been doing the whole time that I thought I needed somebody to teach me how to do, or like, how do I do? It's like, girl, you're already doing it. Six of Cups with the Tower at the bottom of the deck. That just feels like it completely changes the way that you see things up to now. Or it's like it completely changes how you see yourself in your past. But again, that it goes back on that, like, oh, that wasn't me. That was like someone else's projection on me. And again, like, there are cases and instances where, like, it is the person. There are some questionable people that are questionable people. And it's like, if everyone thinks that you're the problem, then you're probably the problem. But Gemini, if this is resonating for you, you are not the problem. You were never the problem. And no one has the right to treat you as such. If they don't want to spend the time to get to know you, like, it's like, just say that. Like, just say that you don't have the time energy, capacity, or desire to get to know me. But don't make me sound like some kind of problem, because I'm not a problem. Just not for you, and you're not for me. And that's fine. There you go, Gemini. Well, I hope you have an amazing whenever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. And I hope, Gemini, that you come up with a good superhero name. It's almost like that first email address that you made when you were like whatever age you were, and then you get a little older and you're like, oof, that email is kind of cringe. I hope you pick a name that you can grow with. But if you don't, hey, we all learn, we all grow, we all mature. We all cringe at ourselves every now and then, because life is a journey, and it's about living, learning, and growing. And we'll never stop living, learning, and growing. It's also about loving, if you can get that part in there. It's a great part to include, but it can also be elusive sometimes. So, bye, Gemini.